Hey everybody, welcome to the Johansson show. It's Kat. Today, got the man himself, Adam Maxted. Adam, thank you for coming on.
No problem. Thanks for having me. We've obviously been wanting to do this for a while, so it's good to finally get it done.
Yeah, like when I was doing my old passion project, was trying to get you on there, didn't quite work, and now, finally on the show, and it's good to catch up as well. Like obviously, I'd always see you when you came to Hull and chat and stuff like that. How have you been coping through the lockdown?
I mean, it's just I've said on some podcasts and stuff before that what makes it easier is knowing that everyone's kind of going through the same thing. It's not like this is just happening to you. So,
Yeah.
When there's days where you might be frustrated or you might not be in as much of a positive mood as usual, because I'm usually a really positive guy, but just got to remember that everyone's in the same position. Everyone's not able to go to the gym. Everyone's not resting as much as normal and things. So, but like I said before, just using this time to be as productive as you can. Just because you can't do stuff like right now, there's no point in just giving everything up. You can put a plan of action together so that whenever this lockdown hopefully does end in either March or April, you're ready to go again. And that's what I'm doing. Home workouts and stuff, they're not as obviously good as a proper gym session, but it's better than the workout you didn't do. So to anyone listening out there that thinks, oh, there's no point in training or working out because it's not as effective as actually going to the gym and stuff. It's amazing what you can actually do with some little stuff in your house and things, and how it actually affects your mind. Just getting a simple workout in, or even just going out for a walk and something, just instead of just sitting cooped up in cabin fever. Get out there and just do what you can. And like I said, I'm a positive person, so this is just happening to everyone. So there's no point in me, overthinking and stuff. I'm just ready to get back to work and continue on with everything whenever we can when it's safe to do so.
Yeah, it's only natural for people to get the days where maybe struggling, or it might be getting. It's been going on for a year now for us, and nobody thought it'd be going that long. But you've always been, again, such a positive person, and you've always had that mentality of working hard. So that shows with you, oh, I'll just find something around the house and stuff like that. I think when was the first time we have spoke? It'd probably been about 4 or 5 years ago. Do you reckon?
I reckon, wasn't it at a show were you with Gary? Was it? I'm not sure.
I'm trying to think.
I don't know if I was tagging with Sid Scala in a match, but I feel like Gary introduced me to you. I'm not sure.
I'm not too sure. I know
4 years
the first time we properly talked was when you got you over for NGW.
Yeah.
And it had been when I was part of that crew. And yeah, just from then out, I obviously text you and you just message back what do you think? Feedback. And it's great to see you go from that to the star you are now. Over those past couple of years, you've just skyrocketed, whether it was with OTT, NGW, obviously doing your World of Sport stuff as well. Did you ever think your career would advance that quickly?
No, honestly, not as quickly as that. I've said before, I was back in Ireland, and OTT, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, wasn't as big a company as it is now. It's one of the biggest companies in the world now. All the top stars that aren't with a big promotion, they want to come and wrestle at OTT. So Irish wrestling wasn't as hot, and it wasn't producing the talent that it has now. So not that I was frustrated, but I kind of just thought, things were going quite slow back then, and the opportunity to do Love Island came up, and I actually messaged Joe Cabray, who runs OTT, and I said, look, what do you think about me doing this? And he was like, it is a risk because you don't know how you're going to come across on TV and stuff. But he also said, it could pay off and it could lead to other things. And that's why I just went in with that mentality. And the first night I was on that show, I was like, I want to be a pro wrestler. I want to be in the WWE. I already was wrestling, but obviously I just wanted to get over the fact that I wanted to make it to the top company and stuff. And obviously, as soon as I finished that show, it was just booking after booking. I was getting these emails, and obviously, I was really happy that what happened from the show, I was getting what I wanted to do. But I also felt like things were moving really fast, and there was a lot of times I was in the ring or I was getting matches that I definitely didn't feel like I was ready for. But I wasn't going to turn them down. It was go out there and try and make a name for myself. And probably the first couple of years, people were like, this guy is so green and he's not ready, and they could probably see the potential and how I looked and things.
Yeah.
But usually, a guy will be in a training school and you'll start hearing about him in a few training matches, and people will be saying, watch out for this guy. and then you'll start getting on bigger shows, and if you're good, you make a name for yourself, and it'll continue like that. Whereas all of a sudden, I just land in England, and I'm on these posters, and people don't know who I am, and I wasn't at the level that I am now. So straight away, people were probably thinking, well, like, why is this guy getting booked, or why are they using him, because he's not ready. But I was grateful for the opportunities and for the advice and learning from people more experienced than me and getting those reps in, because that's the only way you get better, is just reps after reps. So although I look back and I see, like, most of my matches on YouTube, I cringe because they're like from a couple of years ago, and I'm like, if someone is just YouTubing or Googling my name and they want to see a match, that's probably the stuff they're going to see, and then they're probably going to go, oh, this guy, I mean, he's not really, do you know what I mean? So that, because like VOD or stuff, you've got to pay for all your matches now these days. So I kind of wish that most of my OTT matches or ICW stuff, more recent stuff, was online. But it's not. You've got to, I understand that these companies got to make money, especially, now during COVID and things. But obviously, you mentioned NGW, and that company is one of the main reasons that I made the improvements that I did through doing the summer camps and just wrestling consistently against, like, Nathan Cruz and people in Rampage and like Justin Sizem and all those guys. I've been wrestling years, and they just took me in, and I was just getting match after match, 6 days a week, sometimes wrestling, which was invaluable from my experience, and also wrestling for All Star. You've got like Spitty and James Mason, Dean Allmark, people like that, Joel Redman. I'm doing my match, and then I'm stood on the side watching people like that wrestling and just taking things in. So, anyone that like sort of poo-poos or turns their nose up at camp style wrestling or those family shows, it's invaluable to someone who's trying to get those reps in to learn. Especially if you want to be able to work a crowd. Like, it's cool going out there and just doing an indie match where you focus on your opponent, but if you want to be a full all-around entertainer where you want to entertain people, that's really like invaluable experience wrestling that sort of style as well.
No, definitely. And I think, like, when we're chatting with the NGW stuff, while I was saying you'd be a great fit for that, because again, when they picked up the Butlin run, you could just see so many people was just getting so much better. Like, people like yourself, and when you've got like Justin System coming in, and you're working the likes of them, you've always had one of the best drop kicks in indie wrestling. I'll say that for starters. You get some right height on that, which is impressive. Is that one of your most proudest moves? Just the fact that
I call myself the dropkick king. I mean, a company messaged me saying they wanted to make me a weights belt for the gym, and I was like, I mean, yeah, thank you, but could you put dropkick king on the back so that every time I'm squatting or I'm in the gym, people that don't know wrestling are going to be thinking dropkick, like, what's that all about? Like, but people that do get wrestling are going to get it. But that's what I stand by, that I've got the best dropkick in wrestling. So Okada's obviously up there. It's very good, Okada's, but I think a guy that's my size and like 16 stone to be able to get the height and stuff and the vertical leap that I've got. And I mean, it's not something that I actually particularly work on. I do box jumps and things for that sort of explosive power, but I just kind of have luckily been blessed with a pretty good drop kick, and hopefully more of the world are going to see it soon whenever things go back to normal.
Yeah, definitely. And what came first for you? Was it NGW or All Star?
So I think it would have been NGW. So initially I met James Mason on a show, and he said, you should contact Brian Dixon and try and get in with All Star, because obviously he likes guys that like are body guys and stuff.
Yeah.
So I messaged Brian and didn't hear anything back, and then NGW started hearing about me and stuff, and they said, we'll try and fit you on something. Then they offered me a few shows when I first met Rich and stuff, and they liked what they saw, so they brought me in. And then all of a sudden Brian wanted me, so he obviously saw, so I think I'm I think I'm the only one really that gets to work both, because there's a bit of a divide between those two companies due to stuff that's gone on in the past, which I wasn't part of the wrestling business when all that happened. I was back in Ireland still training and stuff, so I think that's why Brian and stuff didn't mind using me, because I wasn't part of any of that thing that happened years ago and stuff. So and just working for both was invaluable for me. I just wanted to wrestle as much as possible, and it wasn't about favoritism or anything. I love working for both companies, and I've got so many amazing memories and stories from working with both teams and things, and I love working for both of them.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to hear, because that was a really big thing in British wrestling when NGW took over the Butlin camps, which All Star had been running for many, many years. It took a lot of their work, and although that's a massive hit for All Star and that core of guys, I think it's helped a lot of, again, with the NGW guys, then getting all those repetitions and things like that. So although I don't think it did All Star the world of good, I think in terms of the quality of wrestlers, especially in the north of England that are working predominantly with NGW, I think that helped massively.
Like Dave Graves and Miles came in, and like Steele and people. That like I said, the only way you're going to get better is consistent reps. And we were traveling on the road, driving 5-6 hours a day to each Butlins. Wrestling sometimes 2 matches a night, in front of these great crowds, and sometimes, like I say, 6 days a week. Our life literally wake up, go to the gym, drive 5 hours, set the ring up, grab some food quickly, go out and wrestle, go get food, make food at like midnight, get like 6-7 hours sleep, back up in the morning, and we loved it. That was like the brotherhood that we had on the road, and that's one of the main things that I'm missing because of this lockdown is just that lifestyle, because like we just loved it.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think with that being said, then who was it for NGW that you enjoyed working with the most?
Definitely Nathan Cruz and Lucas Steele.
Yeah.
Those are the two guys, because when Justin wasn't doing the shows, I was like the main baby face, so I would like crowd to get the crowd behind me and stuff. So obviously you had Nathan, who's so experienced. I've learned so much from wrestling him. I think he's so underrated. He doesn't get the appreciation or the credit he deserves for how good he is, and also for how much he's put into the business and how much he's wanted to make it and stuff. So working with him every night and getting his feedback and then trying new things and trying to remember what he said to me, the night before, and take that on board. And then obviously Lucas came in, and the guy's massive and he's so good for his age. He's a young guy, but yet he picked it up as well, because obviously he was training, then took quite a bit of a break, and then to come back in, like completely changed his look, and called himself the standout for obvious reasons. And those were the two guys that I was wrestling like every night, and had some of my most favorite moments and matches with those guys. And there's nights Lucas and I would finish a part of the match, and we'd just be lying in the ring and just be like looking up at the sky and just being like, this is amazing, this is what we're doing for a living. And then, like I say, it was more than just the wrestling. It was like the traveling and the brotherhood and the training and just being there for each other and just the laughs. It was just always great crack. And like I say, same as All Star. And the locker room there, it's you've got Dean Allmark and Joel Redman and James Mason and people that they just love wrestling. They just love this business. It's not like you come in, shake hands, sort of match out, go out and do it and head off. It's a real like family brotherhood, and people that are there for you. They'll support you through hard times and things. And that's one of the most important things about wrestling as well, is like the friends that I've made as well. Like I didn't really have that many friends before I started wrestling, because I was like back in Ireland. I just kind of went to the gym and went out the odd time, but I didn't really have like a big group of guy friends, whereas wrestling's really given that to me and stuff. So I'm grateful for that as well.
Yeah. With All Star, then, like, who was it that you was mainly working with All Star that stands out for you?
It was a lot of the time it was Clint Bravado.
Okay.
From America, and like he's amazing. So he was so good to work with, and like I'd just be tagging with Joel and stuff, and just the crowd's very similar, but the teams, they're just both the same. As soon as I came in the locker room for the first time, it's kind of, they just knew that I was here and I was being respectful, and I just wanted to learn and get people's feedback and keep getting better. But
how did you adjust to it then? Like, where you might be working maybe one show a week, and then you get in, say, your full weekends booked, especially like post Love Island, to then wrestling 6 times a week sometimes. How did you adapt to that?
I think it just happened gradually. Like it's what I wanted. It's the main. Like I say, it's why I went on that show, to get the exposure. And like I say, I was hoping stuff would maybe come from it. But to be wrestling like as busy as I was and have as busy a schedule I was just real proud that I was getting these opportunities. And it was more that over time, like a couple of years had passed, and I was getting booked just as a wrestler for for my skills and for the sort of progress that I made, instead of just being booked for being like the Love Island guy. That obviously that draw of selling tickets because I'd been on that show was done, and people were still booking me. So it showed me that I was like on the right path, and I was making the right impression, that these promoters and companies still wanted to use me and stuff. And obviously got to try it pretty early as well, like for WWE in 2017. And part of me kind of thought, this is going to happen. I'm going to get the Florida dream, where I get to move to America and stuff, because there were some guys at the Try It that were there saying to me, like, out of anyone here, you probably have the best chance at him, because you're not as experienced as everyone, and you look how you do. So they'll probably want to take you and mold you into whatever they want. So in the back of my mind, I was like, I've got a real good chance. I didn't go in thinking like I've got this, and obviously I didn't get signed after that try in 2017. And part of me, I maybe sulked for a couple of days after, wondering why. And then I thought, maybe they want to see how bad I want it. Did they think that I could just use a TV show and then walk in and think, well, WWE should sign me straight away just because I mentioned on that show that that's who I wanted to work for? But it was up to me to put it out of my mind and just put in the work to improve and get better. And it obviously paid off, because then I got an email in 2018 from William Regal saying that he'd been keeping an eye on me and stuff and saw the improvements that I made. And that's when the chat and stuff about NXT and things initially first started. But I was obviously still in a contract at the time with NGW.
Yeah.
And I could have probably said to them, WWE want me now, can I get out of this? But I thought, no, I signed a contract. You're the company that took me on first, gave me the opportunity to wrestle full time, helped me make the improvements that I have through the amount of work you gave me, which is why WWE saw the improvements. So I want to be respectful to the contract that you gave me. And I said all this to Mr. Regal, and he said, it's admirable that you want to see out your contract. So we said, we'll see what happens when it's up. And then, of course, COVID hit and messed everything up. I do at the moment have like a contract offer from WWE for NXT UK. So
yeah.
In the next couple of months we'll see what happens. Obviously they're kind of restricted to what they can do at the moment with bringing in talent and stuff. So we'll just see. Like I say, hopefully everything happens for a reason, and timing is everything. And I feel like before lockdown hit, I was at the best that I was. I was having good matches. I'm the biggest I am now. If I went back to being signed in 2018, I wouldn't have as many reps as I have now. So it's just, I'm just glad things are happening at this time, kind of.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see, and I think again, the way you carry yourself is one of probably the most endearing things. Is why people have kind of brought you in, and everybody that speaks about you doesn't have a bad word to say. Like if I've been speaking to Cruz or anything like that, he'll sing your praises and just how good you was getting and how much better. And the fact that again, for a lot of people listening to this may not really be aware that NGW, a British company, had a fair few people under contract. I know there was yourself, Lucas, Cruz, Rampage, to begin with. How did that come about then? Like with NGW saying, "Hey, we're going to give you a contract," because it was kind of essentially giving you a guarantee for the year.
Yeah, which obviously, like as a full-time wrestler, it's amazing to kind of know that you've got money coming in each month. You're not desperate or relying on bookings every month. So, but how it came about, I mean, I think we did World of Sport and stuff, and obviously we made some money from that. And then they didn't know what was going to happen with the tour and things, because then obviously towards the end of the WS live tour, people started getting signed to NXT UK, like Viper and Keely Ray and people. They obviously went to NXT UK. So I don't know if that's what made NGW think, okay, we could maybe lose some of our main guys, because the talent was so good there, like myself, Nathan, Lucas, Rampage, Justin Seisen, like it was a great roster and Robbie X, people like that. It was a great roster. Like Butlins were so happy with the shows we were having and stuff. So I think they maybe realized, if we want to hold on to these guys, we better kind of offer them something. And, for like a year, it was amazing to have that money coming in. It kind of took a lot of the pressure off. You could just focus on just enjoying wrestling instead of thinking, how many bookings have I got this month? And like, yeah, it's sometimes clashed with, if I was getting OTT opportunities, Joe would message me and say, "You free on this day?" And I'd say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm doing Butlins because I'm in this contract," and I agreed to that. So I wasn't maybe getting as many indie bookings and stuff as I could have been, but I had that guaranteed money coming in. So that was amazing, at that stage of my career as well to have that. And then obviously with COVID, it just wasn't possible to have the money that they were having to pay out for all the contracts and things, which obviously like made a few of us available, and Rampage obviously took a deal and things like that. So, but I can't speak highly enough of, like Alex Shane and Rich, what they did for me and looked out for me to try and always put me in the best position,
Yeah, definitely. And with the World of Sport stuff, like it has to be said, yourself and Nathan were probably my highlights. Like there was obviously there was a lot of shoddy camera like editing, but the in-ring stuff and the products being delivered by yourselves was like fantastic. And like how did it feel doing the bromance stuff?
That was so much fun, because like as a heel, that's what I enjoy doing. That sort of cocky, full of myself, arrogant. And Nathan's so, the professional Nathan Cruz, he comes out and he's so full of himself. So, it meshed so quickly together, both of us. But we hadn't actually, I don't think we'd met that much. We'd only started wrestling kind of before this happened. So that was my first time like teaming with Nathan. And obviously then watching him in the ring and doing promos and things, it was just, again, another learning experience while you're on like TV, doing TV tapings, working hard cam and all these things that I needed experience and stuff doing. So to be working with Nathan, it was great. And then obviously, what happened with our story where he turned on me and things, that led on to the live tour. And then we were doing ladder matches, which were probably my favorite matches in my career to this day, is wrestling Nathan in those ladder matches, because, when they first pitched the idea of what the tour would be like, they'd be like, we want to watch your body, so we'll probably get you to do 2 or 3 ladder matches. And I was like, no, let's do 6, because I just loved them that much. And like Nathan and I had good chemistry, and we came up with good ideas and things. And just doing those live tours were just, like I said, probably the highlight so far of things in my career, because the crowds were that good. And it was kids and families that were there, just appreciated wrestling. They'd watched on TV. And it's sad because the WS thing, there definitely was something there. NXT's, probably more for the diehard wrestling fan, more adult. But for kids and families that want to tune in on a Sunday, there was definitely something there. But obviously a lot of the talent moved to NXT UK and things, but there's enough talent still in the UK to have had something. But like I say, apart from NXT UK, anything happening in the UK wrestling scene, I'm proud that like I've pretty much been a part of it, like 5-star and things. And just like I say, timing's everything, and I've had these experiences in my career that's helped me develop and improve. And I'm grateful for everything. I wouldn't change the fact that I could have probably been at WWE 2 years ago. I wouldn't change that, because I just believe that I needed that extra time to continue getting better. And now I feel I'm ready. I feel like that's the next step in my career to continue to improve, is to go there and get to work to become a star there.
Yeah, 100%. But it has to be said, like with the World of Sport stuff, I think you release merch one week and then about 2 weeks later you'd split up. So probably the shortest merch run, but I always try and support the lads and stuff. And when Cruz always has a new shirt, I'll be like, yeah, gives one. So I still do have lying around.
Nice.
Broman's t-shirt.
I feel bad because, again, we hadn't had the contracts yet, so I wasn't in a position to give Nathan any money towards those. So I think he spent like £300 odd of his own money to get those made. And I don't know, maybe he sold 10 of them, I'm not sure. But yeah, because obviously what happened in the story with us and stuff. So
yeah. When I spoke to him, I think it was the second time when I spoke to him for this show, and I was wearing like one of my white jackets, and midway through I just unzip and I'm wearing the Bromance t-shirt, and that popped to me. It was like, that's probably my worst performed shirt ever. There's probably just a box lying around somewhere of Bromance shirts.
Surf Shack somewhere, it's down the back somewhere.
But I do believe, like, even though you'd be great with the single stuff, like you and Nathan could have taken that act to team and then maybe do that breakup in the feud anywhere, whether that impacts NXT, NXT UK or anything like that. I think it had the legs just because both look in the part, but it was just a story and you bounce off each other brilliantly.
Yeah, and I think like sometimes in tag teams, especially if it's 2 singles guys, the 2 people might not be invested that much. They'll kind of do what they have to get on TV, but I feel like there's always that push of, well, I still want to be a singles guy and I still want to be a star. So, whereas I never felt that with Nathan. I honestly felt like we blended well. We, bounced off each other during promos and during the things. And I just knew that he wanted me to get better and wanted me to do well. And I was able to learn from him. So yeah, we could have taken that anywhere and continued with it and stuff. But I just appreciate, the opportunities that I've had with Nathan. And then obviously after the WS thing, wrestling a full summer against him all over the UK, at Butlins and things, it's just been amazing to work so much with him, because he's just that good.
Yeah, definitely. What was your experiences of working with Rampage like then?
Rampage, so intimidating. Since I've lived in Newcastle, I've gone to Rampage's school up here. So he's got his own, like, it was linked with NGW obviously. So I was going there weekly, because you're not going to go and not train with like one of the best in the world, Rampage Brown. And Rampage is like a really close friend of mine now. I can message him and ask him about anything, and he'll just give me a straight up honest opinion. So to work with him, I've only worked with him a couple of times. You know, like he never did like the full summer runs, and obviously he's got children and things, so it's more difficult for him and stuff. But you know, again, just I probably learned more from him at the training school because he had more time.
Yeah.
Whereas you know, at Butlins, you know, things sometimes move quite quickly and stuff. And I probably only wrestled him like maybe 2 or 3 times on Butlins, whereas I've wrestled Nathan like countless times and Lucas probably like a couple of 100 times. You know, so I've definitely learned more from his training school, and that's like one of the things I say. He's such a good coach because yeah, he's big, bad, Rampage Brown, intimidating. When he's in the ring, there's no messing around. He's there to do business. But at his training school, you know, there's no intimidation from him. There's no like being scared to mess someone up. Like if you mess someone up, there's sometimes he pops and he laughs and he's on the floor like belly laughing. He's like, what was that? And then he'll sit and he'll give you that proper detailed feedback. He's got Jamie Ahmed there as well, Screwface. Yeah. Those two, which are two of the best in the UK and Europe. So that's why the school is so good up here. And there's definitely word that he's going to continue to coaching things, even though he's still at NXT UK. So yeah. I'm looking forward to being able to get back to work with him as well. Because although I was wrestling full time, and although I have like offers and things, I'll always still train because there's so much more that I want to and need to learn, and who better than Rampage Brown?
Yeah. No, definitely. Like he is fantastic. He makes everything believable as well. How does it feel to know that you've managed, like, again, you was known as Love Island's Adam Maxted, but now you're just known as Adam Maxted. Like, it's been a long journey to get there. I know there was that McDonald's thing that went viral where people just didn't take the gimmick. But the fact that people do just acknowledge you as Adam Maxted, one of the best in the UK.
Yeah, like you say, it's definitely taken a couple of years, but I always pride myself on just being humble and like just doing the work and always asking for feedback from people, like the crowd, promoters, wrestlers watching, because like I said this before, no one came to me and asked me to be in the business. No one came to me and said, Adam Maxted, you should be a wrestler. It was me that decided, this is what I want to do. When I saw that a few people were getting signed from Ireland, it really opened my eyes that you could make it big as a professional wrestler from Ireland. Yeah. And that's when I decided, right, okay, this is what I want to do. And obviously, yeah, I used a TV show, and yeah, I was labeled at the start as just a reality TV star, and that's fine. That those negative comments and things and people's perception of me in the beginning, that actually motivated and inspired me more to like be like, okay, well, you might think that of me, but I know I'm more than that, and I know the potential I have. So I'm going to get my head down, do the work. Yeah, some people get more opportunities than others or quicker than others, but I knew that if I did the work and just stayed in my lane and focused on just improving, that eventually people's opinions would change, and it has. I mean, there are people out there that probably do still label me just as the reality TV guy, because although I've wrestled so much, there's a lot of companies still in the UK that I haven't wrestled for, or fans that I haven't wrestled in front of. So, one day hopefully they will see me, and I am just proud of like the work that I've put in. It's been a couple of years of hard work, and obviously I appreciate everyone that I've wrestled and all the promoters and things that have booked me and given me opportunities consistently. Because I won't get tired of saying it. It's reps and that repetition of being in the ring consistently, week in, week out, that you need. And there's only so much you can do in a training facility or like a practice match of training. If you've got to be out there in front of a live crowd, wrestling people that are more experienced than you to really learn and improve. And I'm just glad that over the past couple of years, people are starting to see a big improvement. And hopefully, then if I go to NXT UK, or we'll see, it's another opportunity for me to then work even harder to make a name for myself there and stuff and stand out there, because there's so much talent in that brand. And I feel like I'm definitely something they don't have though. If I can come in kind of like the UK Miz kind of, because obviously he did reality TV. I feel like they're missing that kind of character or sort of persona on the NXT UK version. So we'll see what happens.
No, I've got to agree. Like again, before we started recording, you was on about it's being hard having to adjust your training regime, and you don't want to go there not looking your best. And I was like, mate, even if you're not looking your best, you're still going to look better than like the entire roster. And that's no disrespect to the roster. It's just the hard work you've put in. Like, it is phenomenal. And I believe that would work because, again, there isn't any of that cocky, arrogant, like Miz style. And I'm a huge Miz fan. I always have been. The missus has no interest in wrestling, but I managed to get to sit down and watch Miz and Mrs., and she actually enjoyed it. So
good show.
Yeah, definitely a good show.
It kind of that motivates me, because you look at a guy that was kicked out of the locker room early in his career, and came from a TV show to then main event to WrestleMania, and now has his own TV show, and you see the life he's living. So it's kind of like, look at, I had a similar start in wrestling, doing the TV show and stuff. So the Miz kind of mixed with Randy Orton is obviously my style and what I go for and stuff. But it's definitely what I think is something that's missing in the UK brand, is just someone that looks like me. And like you say, it's no disrespect to the rest of the roster, but I just always pride myself on, like, as soon as I walk through the curtain, turning heads and people being like, okay, who's that guy? He looks like a star. Yeah. And obviously wrestling's changed. It's not about being over 6 foot and jacked and full of steroids and things like it was back in the 80s and the 90s. Obviously there's so much talent there, and you don't have to be in ridiculous shape. You can be a phenomenal star by not being in shape. But just for me personally, it's just what I've always prided myself on, is just looking like an action figure and, you know, just being chiseled and hitting that sweet drop kick.
Yeah, you mentioned the action figure then. So how would you feel like once you do sign on the dotted line with NXT UK and eventually you get that action figure?
Yeah, I mean, like the moment when, not when you're like, I've made it, but it'd definitely be a surreal moment to like have your own action figure. And especially like you probably get one sent out, but if you actually walked into a store then and walked down an aisle and you saw yourself as a figure, I think like as a wrestler, that's one of the ultimate goals and dreams, is to have your own figure, you know. So it would be pretty cool.
You definitely have to work it in, like doing the like over the top cheesy stuff that you did with Bromance, like where I can just imagine it now, like a vignette where you're walking down the store and you're just there, like just staring, doing that pose at your action figure, making sure like kids are watching and you know they're watching and that's why you're doing it. And you're like, that's
me. That's me.
Speaking of like some fans, then Wrestleverse, what an experience those two shows were. And I always remember, I think it was the first show that was at Tower, and you and Carly had come out, and somebody was like, oh, "Get back to Love Island, dickhead," or something like that, and you just tear around being an over 18 show, just put him in his place. Everybody just started laughing at him. He was just behind where I was, and his group of mates just laughed at him, and he just kind of went into his little shell and didn't make a peep for the rest of the show.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, is that something you always try and do, like, just play off them to then entertain the crowd through it?
Yeah, but, like, so I didn't know that he actually went into his shell, do you know what I mean? Like, that's not what I wanted to do, because, like, for a lot of wrestling fans, going to a wrestling show is their way of socializing, or it's their, like, night out. So, obviously, you want people to enjoy themselves, so, but sometimes I think like wrestling fans are so over opinionated, or they're so opinionated that, like, especially at an over 18, so you can get away with saying a bit more. And it's not like I've got a chip on my shoulder, but there has been, especially from that kind of demographic and that age group, there has been a lot of negative opinions, or, you know, people that'll be standing thinking they can say something negative about me to try and pop their friends or pop the crowd there. So especially that sort of show, to be having the mic in my hand and be able to react, like if someone's going to say something negative, then I'm going to get back to them, but not in like a belittling way or like a bullying way, because like I've been bullied myself and stuff, and I would never want someone to feel like that, because like I say, they've paid their hard-earned money to come out and have a good time. But I mean, like, as you know, Twitter, you know, people just not just this day and age, people feel like just because they have the platform to say something, that their opinion matters now. And like, your opinion it's not a fact, it's just your opinion. But some people are just so savage in the things that they say, and like a lot of that can really affect someone, like mentally. Do you know what I mean? Like, if as a wrestler and a performer, you go out there, you always want to do your best. You don't want to like shit the bed and have a terrible match, but sometimes it just happens. And so you get that into your head, or like I've had the experience where you get in your own head when you know it wasn't good, or the crowd didn't, you know, they think you messed up, or so they then go on your phone, and just to see constant negativity from people that have never gone in a ring and taken an actual bump themselves is just, you know. And I get it, you know, it's the world we live in. People think they're entitled to their opinion and stuff, but I just think people need to be a bit more careful about how they word things on social media, and just take a second to think, like, do I really need to tweet this, or am I just tweeting this to try and get myself over, to try and get a reaction from myself to make me feel better about myself? I think that's just the world that we live in. So, you know, me as a wrestler, when, you know, all these negative comments that I've had before during some matches and stuff, and rightly so, yeah, the match might not have been that great, or I might have not been that great a couple of years ago, but imagine if I was to reply saying, well, you don't go to the gym, look at the state of your body compared to me. I'm just like, I could, but I'm just not that sort of person, because that could really affect them, their mentality, or how they feel about themselves. But these wrestling fans just think, oh well, I'll just say whatever I want, even if it was like just these things that just don't need to be said. There's a way of like constructively saying something. I think if your opinion or what you think isn't trying to help someone improve or get better, then all you're doing is being negative, and it's just sad that people don't think like that. That's just the world that we're living in these days.
Yeah, and I think like with the guy, he was still getting involved in like the show and stuff. But I think when he went into like the shell, it was in the case of he didn't do any more disrespect, because I think he did a couple throughout the show, and then I think when you'd said it back to him, I think he was like, oh, and I think he'd get involved in chants, but it was none of the disrespectful, unnecessary like bullshit you do get from some people. And the thing with social media, I 100% agree. Like you said, you could easily go through and say to probably 90% of people, not even just wrestling fans, but 90% of people, just like look how I am, and you'd be
like
the bad guy for that.
Like not even that. I could be like, well, what are you doing with your life? I'm following my dream. I'm working hard every single day to improve and make a name for myself and do something I'm passionate about. What are you doing with your life? Like, I could really go in on the people that say stuff about me or other people, but I just know, like, yeah, I've watched matches or people that I haven't enjoyed maybe, or it hasn't been my style that I enjoy, but I don't then sit at home and think, I better get on Twitter and think what I think about that match, or get like, I don't know. Like, it's just like you say, it's just the world we live in. Yeah. But if we're getting one message across from this, it's just take a second to really think. Do you need to say something so negative, or if you are going to say something, at least try and word it in a way that isn't disrespectful, or can at least give some constructive criticism in a way. Yeah. Just basically think about people's feelings and stuff, especially during lockdown and during this sort of thing that we're dealing with. It just could take one bad tweet to send someone over the edge, and
Yeah, I think hopefully people will. I don't even know why I'm saying hopefully, because it probably won't happen.
I don't think it ever will. No, it's just the human way people are now, just because they have this platform and I can literally tweet and say anything that I want to say. Because like people say it all the time, would you go up to that person and probably say it to their face? Definitely not, because you're going to get punched right in the face. But just you can sit behind your keyboard or your phone and just tweet it, and then put your feet up and laugh and be like, I give my opinion, or I embarrass that person on social media to get likes from people that follow me. It's just sad.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And I'd like to think people will change, but again, just try and be more positive, because, and I think if wrestlers do retaliate, they shouldn't be seen as the bad guy, because it's okay. You shouldn't have to put up with it, I guess.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the case for anybody. Oh, it's just part of the job. It isn't part of the job. It wasn't part of the job when 20 years ago, before Twitter. It's just, like you said, people have the opportunity to be the shitty people now. And when people do, I guess, clap back at them, I don't think it should affect the wrestlers, this cancel culture that are jumping on it, because people just need to, you're human beings at the end of the day.
Like, not to interrupt, but like Rhea Ripley, for example, the other day, I don't know if you saw, like she tweeted her sort of progress in her physique since she started and the transformation, and she's like one of the biggest stars in NXT UK, but she obviously retweeted what someone had said and was saying, why are people being so negative and things, and it just goes to show you there's a top star, and she's got so much potential, she's going to go on to do huge things, but are you really a fan of something or someone if you're then constantly writing negative things? I just don't get it. Like, but then there'll probably be, when she has a good match, they'll probably be like, oh, that was a great match. But a couple of weeks ago, you were just saying how ugly she was because she looks like a man. Because when she's more jacked than me and half the men out there, she'd kick everyone's ass if it was in real life, or if someone tried to say it to her face. So it just, like you say, I don't think it'll change, but it would just be nice if people would just take a second to think, do I really need to say this? What effect could this happen? Because no one would like it being said back to them,
Exactly. And I think that's why I don't scroll through Twitter now as much as it is. Like,
I just mute people now. If I see stuff, I just straight to the mute button.
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing. Like, I've blocked certain people where they would be negative, that do try and do the mass dislikes on shows, or people would comment, and it's just again I just try and be positive, and I think that's how everybody else should be. But to like get back onto your career, then you mentioned OTT, your rise there, and I think that just shows how far you've come because they are one of the internet darlings when it comes to promotion. Like when they're selling out in Dublin and they're doing some amazing stuff, and you've just been rising and rising and rising, and the fans have taken to you like massively. How does that feel? Like you mentioned, you messaged Cabre saying, "Do you think I should go on Love Island?" And here you are, many years later, like OTT gender neutral champion, and people responding to you, whether it's negatively or positively. It was always in terms of your character rather than where you came from.
Yeah, and like the OTT thing, it's something that's taken a while as well, and like quite a bit of work because when OTT started taking off, I was living in England and wrestling in England full time. And like I mentioned before, Joe would message me and say, quite a lot of the time, "Are you free on this date? I've got a show for you. I've got a match." And because I was so busy in the UK, I'd already committed to bookings, and
Yeah.
so I didn't find those promoters. But then I also felt bad for Joe because he'd given me opportunities. So it's like not that I felt like I was getting lost in the shuffle of Irish wrestlers, but you had like Scotty Davis and More Than Hype and Kings of the North and people that were, month after month getting these big matches from all the people that were coming in to wrestle for OTT. And I was kind of sitting in England thinking like, oh, like, yeah, I'm grateful to have this match at this promotion tonight, but it would have been cool as well to have been able to make that OTT sort of show. So for me, it was like anytime I came back to Ireland to wrestle, I was showing an improvement because I was wrestling so much in the UK and the Irish fans weren't seeing that. And to Joe's credit, he always tried to like give me good matches whenever I was coming back, like Pete Dunne, like PAC, Mark Haskins, standout matches and big opportunities, which because Joe hadn't seen, like Joe didn't see the work I was putting in or how busy, like he saw how busy I was, but he was thinking, okay, here's a big opponent, do what you can. And the fact that I continue to make improvements and win over the crowd and things, and then the fact that he believed in me enough to give me a title opportunity, and then obviously I won the championship and things, just shows how he believed in me and stuff. But there definitely was a time that I felt like the Irish fans and that following were forgetting about me because I wasn't wrestling there so much. And like that lit a fire to me as well, that like every time I go back to Ireland and I wrestle there, I want to make a statement and like make a name for myself in the Irish scene as well, because that's where I came from. I want to be known as like a homegrown talent, an Irish wrestler, an Irish talent. And obviously there's so many people now that are breaking into the UK. Like if you look at More Than Hype and Kings of the North, I still believe that I would have made the same transition to the UK if I had been just in Ireland and wrestling OTT. I still feel like I would have made it over the UK, but obviously doing the Love Island thing just catapulted my career to take off quicker. But obviously it was mainly in England, so every time I went back to OTT, it was like a great opportunity to just show the improvements and the hard work that I was doing back home or back in England.
Yeah, I get what you're saying because I think if people haven't heard you speak, a lot of people might have thought you was from Newcastle or somewhere from England because, and I think it was the same with like Rory Coyle where until I started hearing him speak, I thought it was from like North. I thought it was from England, and it's great to see. You mentioned some of those matches. Like, what was going through your mind with the PAC match then?
Yeah. Like, so Joe's funny as well. What he does, he'll be like, "Hey pal, he'll just message me out of the blue. He'll be like, "Hey pal, are you free on this date?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I am." And he's like, oh, "Okay, cool." And then he'll just send me like the match graphic. You know what I mean? He won't mention anything, and then I'm just opening the message, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "Wow!" Like, okay, and I'm like, "Thank you." And do you know what I mean? So, but like I said, to his credit, he's looked out for me and has tried to give me the opponents and the matches that are going to help me improve. And like the PAC match, I had to fly from Newcastle for it, and there was like a delay in my flight or something, so I didn't get there until like 25 minutes before we were supposed to go out. So I'm like arriving, I'm trying to like not be rude, I'm trying to say hello to everyone, but PAC's like already in his gear in like a part of the backstage area, like he's ready to go, and I'm like just arrived and then trying to get ready and things and then go out. And but to this day I stand by that, like that's probably my best match. I just being in there with one of the best in the world, and what an opportunity, and what a learning experience as well. And can't speak highly enough of PAC, just a like backstage, just a down to earth nice guy that deserves everything. Similar to Drew McIntyre, Drew Galloway, when I wrestled him, like he was so just a gent, and just those are the matches that I needed, because I was worried that I was going to get labeled as like just a Butlins guy or like the camp show wrestler. So I needed these like tough indie matches against like the biggest stars in indie wrestling to prove that I'm more diverse than that and I am like an all rounder. And if you give me an opportunity, like I can go out and like deliver and stuff. So like I said, thank you to Joe and things and all the opportunities he's given me at OTT, definitely.
What would be your favorite OTT moment so far then?
Probably winning the GN Championship because again, Mark Haskins, like one of the best there is, and it was a good match. And just the reaction after when the free count happened, like I've got some footage and stuff, and like everyone jumped up and the applause was there and like the chant of my name and things, and it kind of just showed then that I was accepted as like one of the home guys. Whereas there was times before when I kind of would come back and the crowd didn't really know how to take to me because I hadn't been there.
Yeah.
And really what I wanted, like I just all I wanted was to get that welcome when I came back and stuff. And obviously that match was probably one of my most recent as well before COVID and things happened. So,
Yeah. Who would you say people should look out for in the Irish wrestling scene then? Like, I know you mentioned Kings of the North, but who else do you think are going to be the next ones to break out everywhere?
There's so much, like, you've got Paul Tracy and people and things coaching down there, and Kings of the North, they do some coaching up in the UK, but like More Than Hype are already making a name for themselves, and like Scotty Davis and Katie Harvey and people, and obviously Aoife, she's now in NXT UK. Like, I'm delighted for her because she has so much talent, but for such a little small island, it's really starting to produce some like top stars. You think of like Sheamus, Finn Balor, Becky Lynch, Paul Tracy, like, and now myself and other people that are starting to make waves for themselves. And it's cool, like going back and watching Sheamus wrestling and like Irish Whip wrestling from years ago and seeing the sort of matches and thinking like just how much the Irish scene has improved since then. And that is down to like Joe and the hard work that he's done. He's gone away, had the opportunity, made it to WWE himself, was in developmental, and then came back and built like one of the biggest brands and companies in wrestling today.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the companies that I want to talk about is, I know you only wrestled there once, but I've been doing a massive series on a lot of their main guys and a lot of their academies. What was your experience like with Reach Wrestling?
I've only been down there a couple of times.
Yeah,
but
I know you faced Eddie, didn't you, in Plymouth?
Yeah, Eddie Ryan. But again, just a good locker room of people and a good crowd. They've got a really good following down there, and again, some good talent down there. Joel Redman obviously wrestles down there a lot. He's another guy that I don't think people are talking enough about. Charlie Sterling as well. Guys like that are down the lower end of the country that especially when you talk about internet fans and things, their names aren't brought up like near as enough as they should, because like Joel Redman and Charlie Sterling are like phenomenal.
Ridiculously talented.
And two guys that should be in NXT UK as well if they want to bring in more top talent. And the fact that Rev Pro are using them so regularly shows as well like how highly they're regarded, because that's a company that I haven't worked for before that I'd be interested in, but I haven't been given that chance yet. But it's a big company and it's obviously linked to New Japan and stuff, so the fact that they're consistently using those two guys just shows how good they are. And Joel, for example, he's like put me up in his house a lot of times when I've been wrestling for All Star and stuff, and driven me to the airport countless times at like 6, 7 in the morning when I've needed to fly back to up to Newcastle, and then he's had to go work as a personal trainer at like 8 a.m, 9 a.m, and he's just like, a good friend and a good guy. But definitely down Reach Wrestling is a good setup.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier on like some of your favorite moments, like ICW. What was that like? I know you made your debut facing Lionheart, didn't you? But talk about your time with ICW.
Again, it's another big moment that I'm proud of because it's one of the biggest companies in the UK.
Yeah.
So it was a company that like I hadn't reached out to, but there was, I saw that they'd maybe like some of my footage or things online and stuff, and I thought, okay, well, at least I'm kind of on the radar. And then I got the opportunity, and the Lionheart match probably was like, okay, well, let's see how he is and how the crowd take him to him and stuff if we're going to use him. And like the crowd hated me because I came in and I was the Love Island guy, and I was getting this Love Island wanker chant, and the whole crowd were shouting it, and like just moments like that you remember on. And obviously Lionheart did what he could to make me look as good as possible, and we had a good match. And then that obviously led on to teaming with the Kings of the North and things, which was cool because they needed tag teams for their tournaments and things. and it gave me more chances to stand out. And then more recently, I was getting some single stuff. And another, like the last match I had before lockdown, and the first lockdown was against Liam Thompson. And it's up there with like one of my favorite and like probably my best matches, because I really feel like before this lockdown stuff started, I was really like getting into a groove and starting to just really become more confident and like comfortable in the ring, and I was getting these big opportunities and doing well in them, and they were leading on to other things, and then obviously everything went on a halt. But I was asked to go up and do some tapings actually before, it was in October, November of last year, but then I got ill and stuff, so I wasn't able to do them. So if I hadn't got sick, then I would have been able to, I've been on their recent stuff, which is on the network and things at the moment. Yeah. So hopefully when they're doing the next tapings, like I'm feeling good again, I'll be able to go up and continue doing stuff at ICW.
Nah, brilliant. So what other companies have you been working for? I know there was one point where you're just winning gold in quite a few different places. First off, how does that feel when you have so many companies backing you? And let's put some spotlight on some of those companies, because I know a lot of them may not be as prolific on the internet as the ICWs and OTTs, but I think especially in like the north of England, there's so many good companies that are going well under the radar.
Yeah, like MEW, for example, like it's not a big company, and you've got North Wrestling, obviously, in Newcastle, which is more well known, but like MEW still brings in a great crowd. And yeah, it's just in a little social club, but when you look back at all these wrestlers on their documentaries and things, and you see that that's where they began. They were wrestling these dingy little halls and people standing with pints, and not the most glamorous of places, but again, like that's when you get some of the most passionate fans that and some matches that go under the radar. But that's another company, for example, that like believed in me and kept giving me chances, and then put the championship on. I think I've won the championship there like 3 times now. And I've got like a bag full of titles here that if I wanted to, I could probably do deadlifts with it.
Get them all out.
when I'm struggling for weights in the house, I could probably just use that bag and just do like upright rows and things with the titles. There's a promo in itself. Like during lockdown, I've got no weights, but I can use all these championships and things. But like you say, it's cool that these companies have not only decided to like book me consistently, but they've said, right, okay, we want Adam to be our champion. And it just shows like the improvements that I've made, and changing people's opinions of, okay, he's not just a Love Island guy, he's now just a good professional wrestler that we believe should be our champion. And it's just, I'm proud of that.
I'm just picturing Carly's face where she just walks in from work, something, and you're just stood there, just belts all strapped around, just
like Shawn Michaels on the sofa, just
but all the way down.
Yeah.
Was it MEW that you'd have faced Screwface then? Yeah. How was that? Like, again, you mentioned he was somebody that helped down in NGW's North Academy. What was the match like with Screwface?
It's good. It's actually, I think that's on YouTube actually, which is it's a match that I'm proud of. Because again, he's another guy that's, like I said, he's under the radar. Not WWE have had some communication with him and stuff, but he's so just like, he just wants to make everything mean something, and thinks so much into like why you do things and stuff, and so learning psychology and things from him when you're in there in the ring and stuff from him, and just his ability and his skills. Like he doesn't care about doing flips or these crazy spots. He'll just punch you in the face and he'll make it look good. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, he's helped me outside the ring as well, obviously in the training school with Rampage and things. So to get in finally and I'd wrestled him once maybe at All Star, but it was a very different style of crowd, different style of match. So to go out there where there's adults mixed with children, and just to go out there and have a good tough match was cool. And hopefully I'll get to do it again with him, because he's so talented. He's another guy that should be definitely getting used more than he is.
Yeah. I spoke to him on the show recently, and it seems like he's breaking away from the All-Star stuff now. He's taking less dates to be able to do more work. We've just seen him recently in Rev Pro. So, if people haven't seen it, do check out that match with MEW.
I don't know if I said it to him, but I did kind of think, similar to how I thought I might start to get looked at, is if you're just doing so much, you can get sucked into this little bubble where, oh, well, he just does that sort of wrestling, or he just does wrestling for that company. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like you say, All Star's been going for 50 years. Daniel Bryan and people, Natalia, TJ Wilson, they've all worked for there, and they've gone on to become bigger stars. But, in this day and age, if you want to break out and make a name for yourself, the positive thing about Twitter and the internet is you can get yourself out there and get eyes on you for having these matches, and then putting your content and stuff online, and hopefully get people talking about you positively. So I think that's what he's realised now, and he's really, he's hungry, and he's putting in the work to get himself out there. And the fact that, like you say, Rev Pro are using him now as well, and he's getting more of that internet kind of fan base, see who he is, and that's just obviously going to lead on to more opportunities and stuff.
Yeah, so you got that contract with WWE then. What was going through your mind when it came through?
Just it was you just had to take a moment to be like, okay, like, yeah, it's cool, but now the hard work starts again. The little kid inside me is like, wow, WWE, I've been putting all this work in. It's the biggest company in the world. It's who I wanted to wrestle for, and now I've got the opportunity to work for them, which is obviously a dream. But I feel like it's harder to stay there than it is to get there. Like, yeah, it was hard. I've put in the work, but now staying there and staying relevant and making a name for yourself and consistently improving and getting better is when the real hard work's going to start. But I mean, I had a phone call with, like, to give William Regal credit, he's always been someone that's kept in touch with me and stuff over the past couple of years. So, like, I can email him and he'll get back to me within like 5-10 minutes, and he's a busy guy. So he's always like looked out for me, and I send him matches and he's giving me feedback. So I just remember him saying, it was during a Butlins run in 2018 that I got an email from Mr. Regal, and he said, been keeping an eye on you. If you're still interested in working for the company, could you get in touch with Glenn at the time, because we want to bring you down to the performance center and stuff. And that's when obviously I said, look, obviously, yes, this is what I want, but I'm still in this contract with the NGW, and I feel like it's only fair that I see out that. And that was fine. And then obviously he got back in touch, and then had a phone call with Canyon, and he just straight up said on the phone, he was like, Johnny Moss, Mr. Regal, and people have spoke highly of you, so we want to offer you a contract. And he said the money and stuff, and it was more than I expected that it was going to be and stuff. So again, inside I'm like, yeah, but I tried to act all cool and compose, and he was kind of like, Canyon was on the phone, he was like, so are you interested, or is this something? And part of me wanted to be like, yeah, but I was just like, yeah, of course, yeah, that'd be great, thank you, yeah, thank you very much, sir. And yeah, it's cool, but the hard work starts. It's like almost like a reset. Like, cool, I made it, or I've got this opportunity to be signed, but now I got to do even harder work to keep getting better. And that's just the kind of guy I am. I just always want to continue to. I never get complacent. I want to keep working hard to improve, because there's so much talent and there's so many opportunities for someone to take your space or to get past you if you don't continually keep putting in the work to improve. So I don't think I'll ever lose that. And that comes from the gym and stuff as well. I think when you just have that discipline of like knowing, okay, I got to do the work to improve, then it kind of translates into other things in your life and stuff.
100%. Who is it that you'd want to work with? Like, obviously you'll have those tune-up matches where they're introducing you, but for your first role program, like, who are you excited to get in with a nitty-gritty with?
Like, Rampage would obviously be cool, because imagine like coach or trainer versus student.
Yeah.
Like that kind of story. There's some background there and stuff, so that could maybe make for an interesting story. But obviously Jordan Devlin as well is obviously Irish, so there's I sat and watched Jordan when I wasn't wrestling or getting chances yet, starting to make a name for himself in OTT, and I watched him progress. And kind of similar to me, I watched Joe giving him the opportunities against these big names when he came in. So now he's like one of the top stars there. So I've never wrestled Jordan before, so it'd be cool to like have the Irish kind of thing as well. Like, we're both from Ireland, we both made it here, and I watched him make a name for himself. Now it's time for me to make a name for myself, for mine. And obviously big Ridge Holland as well. Big guy, obviously freak injury. I was sat watching it when it happened, and I was so gutted for him, like, because he's such a nice guy, and to finally start getting momentum and get your chance to start going out there and make a name for yourself, and then to have that happen. Honestly, I struggled to sleep that night when I watched that, honestly, because I could put myself in that position. Imagine just starting to get a big opportunity in your career, and then something like so drastic happens to you. And he's a big guy, he's a strong guy, so it's just a freak accident. Someone that's trained and played rugby has probably got strong ligaments and strong tendons and things, and for both legs to. I was gutted for him, but he's going to come back, and I think he's going to, like, the world's just going to be like, Ridge is back. So I've actually wrestled him. We went to France together when we were first, a couple of years ago. WWE wanted him just to get a few more reps before they brought him over to America while he was sorting out his visa. So it would be cool to like get an opportunity to wrestle him and stuff, and just anybody. I just want to get in there and get back to wrestling full time, and start making a name for myself in that brand.
Is America the goal then to end up moving to the black and gold brand across the pond?
And then the main roster, yeah. I mean, that's always been the dream. That's always been the goal. Not just that. I just Carly and I have been to America a couple of times, and it's just I just enjoy it more than the UK. There's so many more opportunities and possibilities and hobbies and things that you can do out there. But I think as your goal as a wrestler, you want to obviously work your way up. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to be get complacent and kind of think, okay, well, I've made it here now, I'm happy, so let's just take in the money that I'm getting and just see what happens. I just constantly feel like I'm going to be striving to, and I know I'm going to need to be patient, and like I say, some stuff will happen quicker than others, and I just got to put in the work to keep progressing. But definitely America is definitely the end goal, the main goal, and the main roster, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, main event in the WrestleMania is every wrestler, but it's baby steps and just earning those opportunities and just enjoying the journey, not focusing so much on like the final destination. Just try and enjoy the ride, because then you're going to overthink stuff too much and not enjoy it. And I think that's something that people need to remember as well, is just to be thankful for the position you're in and just enjoy it. Everything happens for a reason.
Well, let's say that Mania moment did happen. Like, who would you want that moment with?
Randy Orton. He's I don't know. Like, a lot of people don't appreciate Randy, or they don't think, but I think it's because obviously I'm in shape and stuff, and similar physique and things and tattoos and stuff, that maybe I've always thought, even when he was younger, he pulled off that cockiness so naturally. And it was so easy to hate him, because you'd be like, yeah, like he's with Ric Flair, Triple H, Batista. He's like the good-looking young kid, like, and he was only 24 when he won the first championship against Benoit, like 24 years old, to be winning like a major title. And I mean, last night I just lay in bed and this is what I'm doing during lockdown. I'll just go on and put a random pay-per-view on, and like I watched his match with Christian, some of those matches in 2011.
So good.
Some really good matches that people aren't talking about. And then you look at the stuff he's doing recently with like Edge and Drew and the promos he's doing, and he's just someone that I don't think gets enough credit for. Yeah, okay, he's maybe not out there doing 450s and ridiculous spots and stuff, but everything he's doing in the ring, he makes something mean something, and he gets you invested. Facials, telling the story, how smooth he is in the ring, all this stuff that is just not appreciated because he's not doing backflips. And do you know what I mean? Like, a backflip corkscrew might look impressive, but if one of his uppercuts, or an uppercut that I hit, like, if you get good connection, you knock your opponent to the ground, that's a moment where you're like, whoa. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, flip's cool, but what's more realistic? Getting uppercutted right in the face and knocking your opponent down, trying to win a match. But again, wrestling, it's evolved. I appreciate, you watch Ricochet and you're like, wow, like, cool. But just Randy, for me, has just always been like the guy that I've watched and tried to emulate, and kind of not steal everything, but just think like, try and get that sort of blend, because I just think he's awesome. So to get a match with him in WWE, which kind of could be a possibility because he's still young enough. Yeah, he's coming on a bit, but if I've wrestled Drew, and Drew's now the champion, and Drew said I was the future of wrestling, kind of like after our match and stuff, I feel like if I can get there in time and start making the progress, then it could be a possibility, and that would be a dream match. I always had this like dream of like wrestling him at WrestleMania, and if I could beat him, I would earn a contract, like something mad like that, or a title shot.
Nah, definitely. Like, I'm glad you said Randy. He does not get the appreciation he deserves, and this could easily turn into a massive fan fest where we just talk about people we like. But I think you put Randy in, whether it's New Japan or AEW, put him against Omega, put him against Okada. People are saying Randy Orton's the best wrestler in the world. Yeah, and that's my honest opinion.
I think it's just because he's been there that long.
Yeah,
and there's been, he hasn't wrestled in front of that internet crowd or these indie matches where people then come in and then people are excited to see what they do. But if you look, kind of like, not to bury the company that I want to work for, but watch these guys that are having these awesome runs in NXT, and then they come up to the main roster, and like, I think because the style is different, they kind of lose that build and that momentum, and it's sad to see sometimes, because you're like, this guy's so hot and he's so good at NXT and what he's doing, and then you come up to the main roster, which obviously is every wrestler's goal. You want to wrestle on Raw and SmackDown, but sometimes people lose or they get lost in the shuffle and people don't talk about them, and I think that has happened to Randy before, but definitely now, more recently. And the fact that you think how often he's on TV just shows how Vince and people that are booking the show and running the show believe in him because he's one of their top guys. And he's obviously changed a lot as well. I think back in the days, you watch his documentaries, he probably was arrogant and like full of himself and didn't care.
Not to be.
Yeah. And now I feel like he probably is giving back a bit more and trying to help people, younger talent coming in to get over. And that's why it'd be cool to have an opportunity like myself, as a younger guy against him.
Yeah. So to pull it back a little bit then before you get there, NXT TakeOver, if that was to happen in Dublin, like who would be? It's a ladder match because we know you love ladder matches.
Yeah.
Who are you wanting? I know you mentioned people like Balor or Sheamus. We've seen Cesaro come across to the NXT UK, but you're having that ladder match in Dublin. Who is it?
How many people are allowed to be in the match? You tell me.
As many as you want. You've got them.
I mean, the list. It could be endless. I mean, imagine if you had like, for a new European title or something, and it was like, like me, Pete Dunne.
A bit like what we saw with North American Championship, where there was like 6 of them. Yeah.
Something like that. But I mean, I'm just a fan of wrestling, inside. So any of these stars, I'm like, they're in the match, cool. There's another guy, Cesaro, so underrated. He's phenomenal. But definitely a ladder match would be sick. They've had that good tag match, but they haven't had like a singles match. So that would be something I'd be really interested in. Is like, earning a contract or like a title in a singles ladder match because I don't know, I just love ladder matches.
There we go. You and Rampage, teacher their student. You get your contract if you beat Rampage and all that.
There we go.
Books itself. But no, Adam, again, really just happy for you when as soon as you hear it all over the internet these days and stuff like that. As soon as I saw it, obviously dropped you a message and was like, mate, congrats. Just because I know how hard it is, and even way back when you've seen somebody go on a reality show and say, this is what I want to achieve, for you to then essentially reinvent yourself and grow in front of a wrestling audience to get that dream. I think it's an inspiration to a lot of people of how they should mold themselves and conduct their business. So props to you for that. You can be proud of it.
I appreciate that, dude. And you've always been someone that's messaged me and, supported me for the past couple of years in my career. And I appreciate that. The wrestling business needs more fans and people like you that just want to support people that if they're doing the work, it gets rewarded and it's supported instead of, like we say, all this negativity and stuff. So I just appreciate, your kind words and having the opportunity to come on and talk about stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we could probably just talk another hour for the wrestling fan aspect, but
Royal Rumble, who's going to win this weekend? Who are we thinking?
Oh, mate, I honestly don't know. I've got a newborn, 12 weeks old, so I'm about a month behind. I've been quickly trying to catch up because luckily shared parental leave, so nice. I'm at home for 6 months getting paid. It's great. So I'm right. I've got a week to catch up on 2 months worth of WWE. So I've been going through. Who would you say from what you've been seeing?
So I was for the women. I was thinking Bianca.
Definitely, especially because they've been doing a chronicle on her, haven't they?
Yeah, but then I'm like, is it too obvious that they've just released that this week for her to then go and win it? Is it like, well, now they're kind of putting her in her mind.
Speculate.
But true, and there's room, Ronda could come back, you never know.
I'd love Ronda. Again, somebody that was so hated on by the internet crowd.
Yeah.
She's a fucking star. What she did in the ring was absolutely phenomenal.
To transition from legitimate UFC, which is legit
shoot fight, yeah.
To come straight into wrestling. And I was actually with Carly. We were there at the WrestleMania when she wrestled with her against Triple H and Steph. I was there, and that's one of the best matches on that card, probably.
100%.
I enjoyed the ladder. It wasn't ladder match. It was just a triple threat with Seth, The Miz, and Balor. I think it was. That was cool, but that was one of the matches that just stood out. And it was just an intergender tag match. But for the men, Seth's been off TV for a while now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I don't think Randy will win it. He's too burnt at the moment. But maybe a Keith Lee or something if they're trying to, because I think he's not that he's become stale, but he was so hyped in NXT, and now he's come up to the main roster. And like I just said, there's so much talent on that show, and only so many hours to try and fit in stuff. So maybe he needs that to boost his career again and stuff. But
yeah, I'm hoping it is somebody like that, a bit like what we've seen with Drew, where it has boosted him massively. There's so many people, even Big E, from what he's been doing with doing the IC run, but there's so much good talent. So yeah, I've got a week to catch up. I think the show that I'm up to, so probably about 2 months, is Survivor Series. That's the next one that I'm watching. So
wow. Okay.
again, newborn. I've got the time to do it, I guess. I can give you a more informed decision maybe Saturday night.
Good on that.
But now, where can people like find you on social media and things like that?
Just Twitter and Instagram. It's just Adam Maxted. And I've said it before, I'm probably in the gym and most of my stuff, and that's how you'll know it's my profile.
Do you want that Rumble moment then?
It would be cool. I mean, I just all this stuff. I think I just want to not like look too far ahead. I kind of just want to take stuff step at a time, and just break into NXT UK and make an opportunity there, and then hopefully that'll lead to other opportunities. When the world's back to normal, that's when you get brought to America for takeover weekends and things, and mania weekends, and that's when there's opportunities to mix. There's no reason why, for example, they wouldn't bring a Randy Orton down to NXT if the story was right or if I was there. And there's just so many opportunities. But all these moments, there's just stuff you dream of, and you watch the reaction, how it feels for someone that gets that opportunity, and of course you want it for yourself to feel like that, and especially because this is just all I've wanted to do now for so long. So definitely.
No, really excited. So everybody do go check out Adam on social media. And again, keep watching NXT UK because you're gonna make the big splash on the NXT UK scene. So,
I'm not sure when, but I'll be there at some point.
no, really happy for you, mate. So everybody do go follow Adam. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. Until next time.